during an interview on the Skip Bayless Show. Neon Deion Sanders made it clear he won't step in when it comes to where Shedeur gets drafted. If it's New York, it's New York. If it's Tennessee, if it's Cleveland, if it's still the Raiders, if it's New Orleans, if any of those teams are seeking a quarterback, I'm happy with it, man, because I know where he's going, what he's going to do to the organization. Like or dislike Deion Sanders staying out of Shedeur's draft process?
I like it. I like it a lot because I think that one of the negative things entering this draft cycle was because a lot of reports out there saying that that Deion would sort of interfere, kind of pull a John Elway, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, that kind of a thing, and say, okay, you're not going to go there. I can understand why Deion would do that. You want to set your kid up for the most amount of success possible, and going to a busted franchise like Cleveland, who's never gotten quarterback right, or go to the New York Giants, where quarterbacks there apparently go to die. Since Eli Manning, they haven't been a competent team since 2016, legitimately. I don't think Daniel Jones in 2022 counts as, fully competent there, or that team was fully competent. A lot of holes, and you beat up on a fraudulent Minnesota Vikings team. You did win a playoff game, though, so that's the only props I'll give you. But Daniel Jones didn't show out, and in fact, it was the worst contract decision that they could have possibly done. And also, the head coach and the GM are 1 foot out the door already, being shoved by John Mara out the door. So that might not be a good place to go to. The Las Vegas Raiders are interesting because Shedeur and Tom Brady, they have a very good relationship with each other. But that franchise also has never really gotten quarterback right for like 20 years. Derek Carr was probably the closest. But then again, we were on the show. We got bashed for supporting Derek Carr. So I don't know how much support Derek Carr ever had on the Las Vegas, used to be Oakland Raiders. So I think right now the best situation, I talked about this before, I want to bring up the draft order because we spoke about this earlier. I think that the Browns, for this hypothetical situation, they're going to go Abdul Carter, and let's say the Giants go out and get Shedeur Sanders. The Patriots don't need a quarterback. The Jaguars don't. The Raiders potentially. But everybody's expecting Geno to get an extension. So could they draft Shedeur at number 6, even though they might give Geno Smith an extension, a 3-year extension supposedly? I don't know if that's the smart move. But we can go all the way down. The Saints. Derek Carr has a big cap hit. Could they draft the future at number 9? I have no idea, but I'm going to go no for this scenario. If we just take a look at quarterback-needy teams, the next quarterback-needy team is all the way at 21 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think that's the best place for Shedeur to go to because it's a mobile system. Now, Shedeur is not really a mobile quarterback, but he has enough mobility to extend some plays, and he had to with his time in Colorado. But he's in Arthur Smith's system. He's with Mike Tomlin with a really good defense, 2 legitimate weapons, although I think that George Pickens might be on his way out soon at the hand of Mike Tomlin. But as it currently stands, you have DK Metcalf and George Pickens. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers at some point probably will draft a running back. You have Pat Freiermuth. I think he's a very good tight end. And then your defense, like I just mentioned, is one of the best in the league with T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Patrick Queen, all of them. Joey Porter, now Darius Slay. You have a lot of pieces around there on defense. So I think that slipping is honestly not the worst thing for Shedeur Sanders, and it adds motivation as well. Because I appreciate Deion's confidence saying that he knows what Shedeur will do to any organization that drafts him, and I think that's rightfully so because in his time in college, he had no offensive line in Colorado, no running game. Travis Hunter was a great weapon for him, but in the NFL, it seems like now every team has a legitimate weapon, or at least 20 out of the 32 teams have great weapons. But check this out. 81% completion percentage on passes from a clean pocket. Number 1 in the draft class. 70% on-target throws of 10-plus yards downfield. Now, he doesn't have the best arm, but that was 2nd in draft class. And in fact, we could take a look at some successful young quarterbacks, a.k.a. Bo Nix last year, who didn't have a great arm and in fact had one of the highest checkdown percentages in college last year. And he led the Broncos, who haven't gotten quarterback right since Peyton Manning was there in 2015, led them to their first playoff appearance, ended that playoff drought for the Denver Broncos, went 10-7, and I would say any other year but last year, he would have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. But Jaden Daniels shocked everybody with how mobile he is, how accurate he is, and some of the craziest plays from a rookie last year with the Washington Commanders. So that's what propelled him into being Rookie of the Year. But I think any other year, Bo Nix would win that Offensive Rookie of the Year. So slipping, I would say, is not a terrible thing for sure. Because supposedly he was maybe part of he didn't rub people the right way, rub teams the right way, supposedly. Take with that what you will. That's a report out there. Take that with what you will. But I think right now, Shedeur showed that under pressure, he could excel, at least in college. He's comfortable with it. He makes some big-time plays. Yes, he doesn't have the best arm. But maybe the NFL doesn't always need mobile quarterbacks. Maybe sometimes pocket passers can be a very effective breed of quarterback. Now, people are moving away from that. But still, it's good to have a quarterback, a young quarterback, who could handle pressure very well, because we've seen just in this past draft class, the number one quarterback in the draft, who is a generational talent, have the most bad throws in the NFL, having one of the highest quarterback responsible pressures in the NFL, meaning the pressures on him were his fault. And he completely fell apart in late game situations sometimes. He played way too conservative to preserve that touchdown-interception ratio after throwing a load of picks early on in the year. I think having a Shedeur Sanders on your team would be very, very good. So if the Giants draft him, I mentioned this earlier in the show, I think it's kind of a match made in heaven, because all the issues the Giants have, Sanders just experienced that last year with no running game and no offensive line. So he would kind of feel at home in a way. And Deion gets his big market. It's prime, so it's not like a low-market team is having this super influential personality. No, you're playing for the New York Giants, who, while the Giants and the Jets are both technically the worst two franchises in the NFL since, I think, 2016, the Giants are, I think, one step above them in that case. Mm-hmm. So you're going to the better of the two New Jersey. I'm calling them New Jersey teams because Buffalo's obviously the best.
Can you bring up the draft schedule once again for me, please?
You want your solo? Here, let's go your solo.
Yeah, okay. So I think your analysis is good here. I think that Deion Sanders coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm not going to get in the way. Whatever team he thinks is best, that's great. New York, the Raiders, the Saints, Tennessee. That would be the number one pick. Those are all fine with me. What he's really worried about is that Shedeur will drop to 21 and be drafted by the Steelers, and it will cost him a lot of money. That's why he's saying this. He's worried about the money. He's worried about a contract that won't be so great if he slips all the way to 21. If he gets drafted in the top 3 or even in the top 10, then the money will be good. So I think that's the main reason he came out and said that he didn't care where they're going, because initially, a year ago or so, he was saying there were teams he would not go to. His son, he wouldn't want his son to play for, including cold weather teams. Now he says he would be happy with whatever team selected Shedeur in 2025. It's going to be an Eli when referencing how both Shedeur and he was mentioning Travis Hunter at the time would approach the draft. That was a while ago. That spooked some people, I think. Honestly, Shedeur has told me, he's talked to me intently about all the visits he's had with all of the teams, so I know where his heart is. I know where he wants to go. So he's softened his position dramatically, and I think it all has to do with money. He will not try to orchestrate which team selects Shedeur. That's not God's will right now. Hi, he's even bringing God into it, huh? I want Shedeur to do what he has consistently done, excel against all odds. I like the hating. I like the naysaying. I like the ignorance, because it makes us feel better about what we don't.
What we do.
What we do. If it gives him another chip on his shoulder. So the Eli Manning story, famously, he refused to play for the Chargers, who drafted him at number 1, but traded him to the Giants with the understanding the Giants would pick Phillip Rivers, who the Giants did draft at number 4. The deal worked out better for the Giants, who won 2 Super Bowls, but Rivers did break multiple franchise records with the Chargers. Shedeur is expected to be one of the first 3 players selected in the draft: Tennessee, Cleveland, or the Giants. I believe Sanders came out with his comment, as I said, to help ensure that his son is picked very early in the draft to maximize the rookie contract he will get.
Well, I think right now we take a look at just what Shedeur has done, because he didn't work out. He didn't do a combine, and I can understand why. There's enough of the potential assets or the issues that teams could have that's already on tape on how Shedeur handled it. So it's not like he played on a college team with a phenomenal offensive line and teams are questioning, well, how does he do under pressure? Or it's, well, how does he do, on the deep ball? In fact, last year, Shedeur Sanders had the 4th most deep ball yards in college football last year. So, yes, he doesn't have the best arm, but it's his accuracy that's his big plus on that.
I mean, he can build up his arm. He can build up his arm strength.
Well, you could, but I think that his strength is reading, because that's what Colorado did. Colorado relied on structure and put a lot of pressure onto Shedeur Sanders. So I think that's a massive plus, because you don't got to worry about the combine. You don't got to worry about a pro day, because all the stuff that teams have a potential issue with, you can just say, hey, look at this game last year. Okay, look at week 5. I did that exact same thing against this kind of a defense. Look at what I did. He has all the traits of the issues, the pluses and the minuses already on film. And last year he went to a Colorado team who he led them to the most amount of wins since I think 2016 last year with a 9-4 record. And he did it with Colorado, who has been a no factor for years.
I think the Giants better hope, if they're going to take Travis Hunter, they better hope that the Browns select Shedeur Sanders, because that will mean the two. Cam Ward will go number 1, and that will mean both those quarterbacks will be gone, and the Giants wouldn't have had a chance at him. Because if they do, if Shedeur Sanders drops and they pick Hunter, then Shedeur Sanders turns out to be a franchise quarterback, the Giants they'll never be forgotten, and Schoen will be.
He's gone anyway.
He's probably gone anyway, but there'll be one more nail in his coffin.
That very well could be. And I think a massive plus for Shedeur's game is almost half of the plays, half of his passes, came without the help of play design. So play action, motion, RPO, screens, all of that. 48% of his plays came from non-structured designs. So he's playing without structure half the time. So he's able to have that level of success. And last year,
he would have a lot of that with the Giants. He'll be running for his life.
Last year he did have a career year though. Highest completion percentage, most amount of yards, highest yards per play, and also the highest passer rating he's had for his collegiate career. So he's done everything at a high level with lesser talent. Now Travis Hunter obviously was a massive help on both sides of the ball, but he was able to do all of this with no offensive line, pressured on a bunch of plays, and also he had the 8th highest PFF grade while under pressure in college football, the 3rd highest under a clean pocket. So he's excelling in both aspects, clean and under pressure.
Giants should draft him.
You have Russell Wilson, you have Jameis.
If the Browns
Winston.
don't get him first, if the Browns are smart, they'd take him.
Well, supposedly, according to Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic, the Jets might also be looking at him.
Yeah, well, I could see that too.
But again, they just signed Justin Fields to a 2-year, $40 million deal.
That's all. They can actually get out of that contract in 1 year if they want, right? It's only really a 1-year deal.
The Giants could do that with Russell Wilson now. They could say, we don't want you anymore today.
Yeah, well.
You can just pay him $10.5 million
I don't
just to not
understand what
play
they were doing there. That makes sense to me.
Let's take a look at this draft order one more time. Because unless, again, there's something shocking like the Cardinals maybe, or the Colts, although the Colts say they're not going to be looking at a quarterback. The Cowboys even. Unless we have a shock team, the next one that desperately needs a quarterback is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
So he may fall to 21, and now supposedly the Steelers really like Jalen Milroe. That would be a massive reach at 21. But
who else would pick Milroe ahead of them?
Nobody.
So.
No, Milroe is a second, third round pick in my opinion. So the fact that
who would the Steelers pick if Shedeur is gone then? If they're going to pick his quarterback?
I go Jaxson Dart. He's
Probably.
QB3.
Yeah.
He's QB3.
And there's been talk about that for the Steelers. Yeah.
Will Johnson had a good pro day, horrible combine, and missing a bunch of throws, so maybe his stock moves up a round or two at the very best, or at least 10-plus picks maybe.
Well, the draft is coming up soon.
We got about a month out. So, we'll see. But here's the thing. We always see this from rookie quarterbacks. Some quarterback gets the micro analysis. They like to nitpick just minuscule things to kill him. Like, remember C.J. Stroud? It was that test that he scored like a 2% on or something like that.
Yeah.
Turns out to be better than Bryce Young. Like, it's just very, very minuscule things that don't matter whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like Caleb Williams. There's like, what could he do handling adversity? Well, I still think adversity is something that he struggles with. It's not as
He
bad.
got sacked, 68 times last year? I'd say he dealt with adversity pretty well. He was still standing at the end of the season, right?
Fair point.
That's a lot of adversity, getting sacked over 60 times.
But that's also like the little things. There's always one quarterback that massive spotlight gets put on him, and with the personality of Deion Sanders and Shedeur being his son and all of that, and Shedeur working with Tom Brady to improve his game, the Raiders actually make some sense. And what's funny is if you look at that quote, Deion Sanders says, "If it's still the Raiders." Throw that out there. If it's still the Raiders.
I think that he probably saying that because now he didn't expect them to have Geno Smith.
Well, does that mean that
I would
the
say
Raiders said, hey, we're looking at you a lot? I mean, Tom Brady's the minority owner.
Well,
that's it. If it's still the Raiders.
I mean, they can get off Geno in 1 year. They don't have to give him an extension. Right? He's playing for $25 million bucks this
He's on his contract year.
Yeah.
It's just the expectation is you give him an extension.
Yeah, well, if they draft Shedeur Sanders, they won't be doing that.
I completely agree with that. I do find that interesting, though. Deion said if it's still the Raiders. So clearly, that might have been a slip. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
he's been
put a little
told
bit of
behind
weight
the
on that.
scenes they're going to draft him.
Yeah, we're looking at Shedeur a lot, so maybe.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the eye in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.